My name's Alex Stroud. I'm on the investment team at Concentric. So we are a early stage VC based in London and Copenhagen, Denmark. And we invest seed, Series A, sector agnostic. One portfolio to date, 23 companies. I think that's it.
I'm Andreas. I'm a partner at Automat Ventures. We are an emerging fund, still in the raising stage, so not quite ready yet, but soon, hopefully. And we invest into intelligent enterprise AI, and deep tech.
So hi again, everyone. My name is Margaret, and I am a founder of Onoco, a very useful app for new parents. Did you know that 90% of brain development happens in the first 5 years of life? It's such an important time, and the majority of parents do not know if their child is eating or sleeping well enough. Sharing care is stressful, and parenting advice is often conflicting and not backed by science. So what do parents do now to make their lives a little bit easier? Some buy printable logs to remember about nap times and nappy changes. Some put on display family routine and share handwritten notes with other caregivers to ensure that the routine is consistent. Or they use several apps for tracking, for sharing pictures, for monitoring developmental milestones, or organizing their family time. But these apps are not synced, and we have too many apps for our phones already, don't we? So what's the solution? Onoco is the only app out there merging 3 baby app categories in one. Parents can invite family members, nannies, to track what's important to their families together. They can also create custom routines and reminders about appointments and share pictures and comments together. They can also monitor their child's development using EYFS compliant framework. So it's a framework with 460 developmental milestones and actionable advice. Our users are mostly women who are looking for practical and modern solutions. And the market that we'll be targeting in 2021, it's a market that can be estimated to be worth $1.6 billion. But this is just UK, Australia, and US. The app can be easily localized into other languages, so the opportunity is actually much greater. It's a natural next step in the industry's evolution. Some baby trackers have been already downloaded more than 40 million times. So this is just the beginning of this change. I have 8 years experience in building very complex digital products, and I work for big brands. My colleague Ida is used to be a head of paid acquisition at Sterling Bank, and Damian is running his own software house and developed more than 10 apps. We launched our MVP in October, and the traction's been great. More than 17,000 users have set up 10,000 profiles of their children, and we're growing very quickly. At the moment, Onoco is available for free. However, later this year, we're planning to introduce a premium version of the app and onboard first partners. And we're raising £350,000 to execute this plan. If you're interested, please let me know. Thank you.
Margaret, Vikram here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
How do you relate with this problem? Is it a personal problem that you faced? What led you to build this product?
I am a mom of 2. So it's an app that I wish existed 7 years ago when I became a mom. And I used to be that mom that wrote all the nap everything down, the nap times, and I shared notes with my husband. I tried many different things. So Onoco is solving all these problems that I needed to face, and I couldn't find the right solution for it.
Hi, Margaret. Thanks for the pitch. Maybe a question on how you're going to monetize this. What's the difference between the basic package and the premium package, and how are you going to incentivize users to upgrade to that?
We'll be looking at 3 streams of monetization. One being a premium version of the app that will take the advantage of all the data that we have available in the app, and will personalize the suggestion on the optimal routine for parents. Also, parents will have more advice available daily in the app, and very robust reporting. So you'd be surprised actually how useful it is to know the patterns, especially very early in child's life. So those insights, they would be available in the premium version of the app. In addition, I also mentioned partners that we're planning to onboard later this year. So as you think about industries and then baby consulting, or like sleep consulting space, or like speech therapy, some of the data that will be logged in the app is actually vital for these consultants to provide best advice. So similarly, like you had Babylon Tech, where call to pediatrician is just available straight in the app, one tap away. The same can happen for all the businesses, like the consultants and services that parents are usually looking for anyway, and they will have that access in the app. But in addition, that would be powered by the data available in the app.
Okay, thanks.
Can I ask a question real quick? So I'm invested in a baby food brand, incidentally. And the challenge that they're facing is that kids are growing out very quickly out of the category. So how long is your expected sort of life cycle, or how long are you expected to be with a child on the app, and especially the paying version of the app?
Sure. If the app is suitable from birth to 5 years old. So this is also the length of the EYFS curriculum. I mentioned that development framework that is embedded in the app. So you can actually track your child's development, ensuring that it's hitting all the developmental milestones up to age 5. I agree with you that there are some products, and especially baby trackers, are these types of apps that are very sticky very early on, where parents are sleep deprived and they just don't know when was the last time they changed the nappy or they fed the baby. But Onoco is different. So you can log in all that data and learn the child's natural rhythm in those first couple of months. But later, when you get tired, like you don't want to track yourself as a parent, but you would like someone who's occasionally looking after your child to do that, you can create a custom routine and use it in a different way. And half of parents actually, they have more than one child by the time actually the first child is 5. So it would be more than 5 years if someone is engaged and is really seeing value in the app.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry the timing for the feedback is up, but you can definitely communicate with any of the judges through email or anything like that after the event. Thank you so much for pitching.
Thanks,
Margaret.
Thanks, Margaret. Thanks.
Bye. So we're going to move on to Gio from Humanpeople now. I'm going to put him through.
Hi, how are you doing? Nice to meet everyone. My name is Dr. Jeff Mull. I'm CEO and founder of Humanpeople. I previously set up a chain of anti-aging skin clinics in London in 2007 when I left NHS. And during that time, we also started a lot of functional medicine where we used a lot of nutrition supplements to help people. And that's really what's brought me onto Humanpeople. So I don't know if you recognize any of these, any problems, things like brain fog, anxiety, low mood, a lot of issues with sleep these days. I certainly do. And you're not alone. And that's the reason why 56% of adults in the UK take supplements. That's 27 million people. But there's a bit of a problem. In our clinics, and this is backed up, we had 46% of people who were regularly taking supplements, but yet when we did blood tests on them, only 4% had optimal levels. There's clearly something a little bit broken here. There's a lot of good quality supplements out there, but people just don't know what to take. They don't know what dose to take. So that's why we've come up with a solution to try to close that innovation gap that exists between these great supplements and what you actually need. And you think, that's for such an enormous market, that's something that should be solved, but it's not. And the way we do it is we do an online questionnaire, and that helps us define the issue, but it certainly doesn't give you the solution. To do that, you need to go a step further. And we do at-home blood tests, and we've just tied up with a company with an amazing new at-home blood device, which you stick on your arm to press a button to take your blood, so no messy finger pricks. We also have a third party where we use DNA testing, or actually our software can even use 23andMe. So if you're really good at 23andMe, you don't need to redo it again. We also do gut testing as well. And so the challenge was really, how do you take all this data and turn it into supplements? And that's, I suppose, where our unique proposition comes. This algorithm that we've developed that used to take some of our nutritionists 30, 40 minutes to go through data. Now it takes a matter of minutes. So all that gets integrated together, and it helps profile people into, along the areas that they want to improve, but we also look at their profile of inflammation, detoxification, antioxidant, etc. And we're a subscription service. We then deliver you your bespoke set of supplements. It's usually 6 supplements plus a high-dose probiotic, which is also personalized in a little daily pack, and so that's sent out every 4 weeks. You can then retest, and this is a really important bit. We're not sending you something. This isn't a marketing gimmick to get you to buy supplements and goodbye. We re-engage, and we have a team of nutritionists that will help to re-engage. And when people retest, that really helps them understand that what they're trying to improve does improve. Also makes a big difference to retention and lowers churn rate. So where are we at so far? So we set this up. I set this up over. It's actually started almost 3 years ago, but the MVP started in the last 12 months, and we've run that very successfully. We invested over 80,000, and we just closed the 100,000 friends and family round. And so we've just completely rebuilt the platform. We've also kind of really done a lot of work on our branding as well. So why now? Well, we sit right in the middle of some enormously growing areas. You've got personalized medicine, you've got digital health, and obviously the supplements market as well. And yes, it's direct to consumers. So we have that marketing challenge, which we've been taking on. We'll be looking at different psychographics of who our target market is. Number one, without doubt, is the healthy Hannes. The prime purchasers of supplements. They care. They really want to know what's right for them. But similar to all these 3 groups, they're loyal to high quality and they want evidence-based. There's a number of companies that sit in a personalized type
30
space.
seconds.
But it's the stratified kind of approach as opposed to our personalized approach. We've got a fantastic team. Karen Kidd, who's head of brand at Caffeine Nero, previously Nutfield Health. Christine Billy, one of the leading UK functional nutritionists. Our ARR, in year 3, we hit 6,000 subscribers. We're looking at 11 million, and we've shown we've got a very low churn rate. So our ask is 800,000. We're looking to build out our tech team, also our marketing, sales, and all those customer touch points. The time is right. Personal health's never been higher on the global agenda. Multivitamins, soon going to be a thing of the past, as is the multi-bottle approach. We know everything is moving towards personalized healthcare. We've had some great successes so far. Really kind of quite touching when people get in touch with us. And we'd like your help to help us help a whole lot more people like Rachel. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for the presentation. how are you producing these supplements? So how are you manufacturing them? And on the back end, how much of this is scalable / like is it more around 80% of the stuff is standard and the rest 20% is something that is customized, or is it the reverse?
So we don't manufacture the tests, we don't manufacture the supplements, but we do have contracts with UK manufacturers who we've gone out to and found high quality supplements. So we've got a number of different companies. I think on our books at the moment, we've got 82 different supplements that we use. 100% is personalized. And the scalability is all built around an integrated algorithm. So we get all these details, that integrated into an algorithm that then recommends, what the top 12 would be. And then we have a nutritionist who will look at it and kind of go, the sense check, as we're still validating all of this. This is what you need. It then gets sent off to a machine. We have an in-house robot that packages all this and fires them all out. So in terms of scalability, and there's a couple of companies that take a similar process without that analysis in the middle, and making these personalized solutions.
Jeff, could I understand, and maybe I missed something here, but how many customers, what's your revenue per customer, roughly?
So lifetime value or monthly subscription?
Any monthly, both.
So the monthly subscription is £85 for the supplements. The tests are £149 per test. The lifetime value that we've worked out so far is £2,200 per client. Wow.
Because I saw, if I'm not mistaken, the slide one of the slides that you showed had $1 million in revenue and 500 subscribers there. How does that work?
So annual recurring revenue calculated by the recurring revenue at month 12.
Okay.
Is the calculation that I would work out. So we're taking that, what it stands at month 12, and then multiply it out for the year. So exactly. So just under 600 people gives you an annual recurring revenue, and that's what when we did our pilot, we had full. In fact, some of the tests were even more expensive than that. We were charging people £95. We've actually been able to reduce that to £85, and we do have a high gross margin, but we feel it's a price that people will pay for a high premium subscription, because it's not just supplements you're getting a whole lot of information and support around it. So, I think it's not comparing it just with, right, my tablets cost X and this costs Y. There's a whole lot of integration in between. But the big value is that, our results have shown that we get really good results. And you can't get that from a questionnaire. You can stratify, kind of going, well, this group of people might need this, but actually it doesn't give you that ultimate solution. And we've shown that in our pilots. When we do a questionnaire, the algorithm feeds through recommended supplements. We do the test, it completely changes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have Elliot from WYSPR.
Hi, I'm Elliot. And I'm Ollie, and we are the co-founders of WYSPR. Our purpose is simple: to build a world where anyone can get paid to advertise. WYSPR is disrupting the influencer marketing industry by allowing brands to use their natural advocators to promote products and services online, ultimately creating the most authentic influence possible.
Influencers are all too often inauthentic, as they fake a sense of friendship with their audience. As a result, consumers are no longer pressing like, and the average engagement in an influencer campaign is decreasing year on year. With brands favoring engagement as their measurement of ROI, we're left with a highly inauthentic service that is resulting in more spending from brands for worse results. The biggest problem lies with the concept of the influencer. Why bother to fake a friendship? We have friends, people we know, love, and trust, so why not use them instead?
We call this friendvertising. We use the influence of the regular person and pay them to post on social media to spread the word about brands that they already use and love. Brands love us because friendvertisers are already their consumers. No need for freebies or giveaways and a built-in circular economy. But the final result is best, the most authentic marketing possible. Real consumers with real friends, who on average have 3 times the engagement rate of an influencer. So instead of someone speaking down to you, you're influenced by the people around you. Finally, a digital word of mouth.
We're in a prime position to establish a sizable market share in this space. With our first mover advantage, we can benefit from the perfect market scenario where demand for influencer marketing is booming, with 73% of brands increasing their budgets in the last year, and the supply of potential friendvertisers is sitting at 90% of Instagram. WYSPR's performance-driven model is not held back by new privacy rules imposed by tech giants such as Apple or Google, so we get data direct from the users, giving us an edge in this market.
In our commercial tests alone, we've worked with top brands like Yo Sushi and The Athenian, smashing the industry average engagement rate of 2.4%, having achieved an average of 30% so far. This isn't just a bit higher, this is orders of magnitude higher. The Athenian, who we helped win Delivery's Restaurant of the Year 21, loved our service so much that their owners even requested to invest. Subsequently, we've achieved 15.5 grand revenue since July with a 68% profit margin and 21K all in the pipeline, all whilst providing a cheaper and better service.
Influencer marketing is big money and it's only set to grow, with the industry expanding at a compound annual growth rate of 32%. We're not only privy to taking the current serviceable market by storm, but have the ability to scale in an emerging industry.
WYSPR is striking the balance between expensive, high-cost agencies and cheap but ineffective platforms, a solution that works for every brand at every stage. Our competitors are diverse and mostly exist in the traditional influencer marketing sphere. From our 600+ case study breakdown, we know we can outperform them. It's just a matter of checking them off the list.
Our two-part bespoke software isn't off-the-shelf stuff. Ollie and I designed the system with a specific purpose and function, and it's totally unique. Our internal dashboard allows us to invite, pay, and track data points from thousands of users, whilst the iOS app gives users job invites direct to their pocket.
In our current agency model, we take a 50% gross profit margin on each campaign, and we can still guarantee market price and pay a fair rate to our users. Post-raise, we intend to develop our software into a SaaS marketplace where we will offer friend-advertising as a free service and take 50% margin on each transaction alongside paid subscription tiers. This will let brands who prefer to have a hands-on approach to their marketing campaigns take control, and will also function as the ultimate white label tool for agencies representing them too.
With our combination of academic experience in this sphere alongside professional experience in a billion-dollar tech solutions company, we're familiar with every stage of the project lifecycle alongside integrations and management of emerging technologies. We have what it takes to go the distance.
We have now taken friend advertising to a proven concept, and our traction to date has been entirely organic with little to no money spent on marketing. Although we can grow at a steady pace, a capital injection will allow us to finalize our SaaS offering and launch a product that can dominate this space as well.
We're happy to announce that we've already completed our 350k target and stretched that to 450k in just 1 month. We've closed this round very quickly and sadly haven't been able to include everyone due to oversubscription. As such, we're open to conversations about our next round of potential pre-subscribers. Thanks for listening. We say, never shout, always whisper.
Thanks for the pitch. I may have missed it, but are you guys building this such that it's platform agnostic? And what's your view on, I don't know, if not, being tied to something like Instagram versus TikTok and Snap and the rest of the other social platforms?
Yeah, Alex, yeah, it's a great question. So right now we primarily function on Instagram. It's the most easily monetizable. It's got a great API, so you can access like data-rich environments. But we always have a manual upload option for our users. So we have like a contingency in case that's ever pulled. You know, our mission is effectively to allow people to sell their data on their terms. So as much as we love, you know, getting data directly from, you know, platforms, we think it's even better to have a contingency from them directly. We do have a diversification plan to expand onto different platforms. Specifically for friend advertising, the novelty of it is to go through your friends. So some platforms, from our kind of experience and our opinion, they're not ideal for it. You know, something like TikTok and YouTube, they're actually more like P2P entertainment platforms. But you know, Facebook, Snapchat, they are where friends communicate and where people actually can recommend their brands and products more authentically. So yes, we have a diversification plan, but IG is the one for us for now.
Okay.
Guys, how do you incentivize the friend advertisers to do what they're supposed to be doing?
Sure. So it's all paid based on performance metrics. So normally a brand will approach an influencer and they'll say, oh, hey, you've got 100,000 followers. We might decide to pay you, say, for example, £4,000.
I understand what the current model is. You guys, how are you guys doing it?
Yeah, sure. So what we do instead is we base it on engagement. So rather than using one big influencer, we use lots of small ones to make up that difference. And we basically look at the engagement that they get individually. So the industry average is 19 pence an engagement is what they judge a return on investment on. So we'll pay an individual based on their performance that they're likely to get on the job. Our algorithm works that out so that we take away a lot of the risk. We pay for that.
Do you do any of that ex post, or do you have to sign your influencers up first?
Yeah, we sign them up first. We sign up our friend advertisers on our app, and that way we get their data and we can work out how much to pay them and what they're likely to achieve when they take the job.
Do you have a kind of a marketplace where people that are interested in certain things can sign up for certain campaigns to be part of or something, or how does it work? How does the kind of the matchmaking work?
Yeah, it's a good question. Effectively, when they sign up, they take some light psychographic tests, just to what kind of things they're interested in, what they speak to about their friends, and also, of course, their performance data, as Elliot said. We use all of that information alongside their audience demographic and geographic breakdown to make decisions. So, for example, Andreas, say you were a client, you wanted to release a campaign for your new product in Norfolk. We don't look at where the person's from, we look at the audiences. We then send a job invite to people who are interested in fashion, for example, who have an audience in Norfolk and want to reach an audience of 18 to 25-year-old women. We pay them, they post, we check, and then it's uploaded and they send their money after their data is reported.
They also have the option to accept or deny a job as well, and we really do encourage people denying it because it keeps it authentic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you have to specify that this is a sponsored content? Do you have that obligation every time an influencer or a person posts anything?
So a Friendvertiser with us is an independent contractor. Effectively, when they come on board, they're not an employee of WYSPR. They're someone who understands their niche very well. We have house rules which indicate that they have to do that, but we are not liable for that. So we encourage them to do so. We tell them they have to, and it's their responsibility to upkeep that. But ultimately, that's their responsibility to do so.
And the safety net we have on the back of that as well is they get paid once the job's complete.
Yeah.
So if they don't do that, they haven't been paid yet, so they're not technically violating terms.
Are you already monetizing on the platform, on the SaaS subscription?
So we did a initial commercial test period where we built out the app and the platform to use internally. We've been operating as an agency at the moment to do that, working with some big brands to test it out. And what we're doing with the raise that we've just we're using that to turn that into a SaaS platform. So there's not too much legwork done. It's just quite bare bones. It's not very visually pretty. The UI is not great. It's just mainly lots of data points, etc., and quite efficient because we know how to use it. But yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Great. So our next speaker is Rachel from CREASE.
Perfect. Cool. So hi, I'm Rachel, founder and CEO of CREASE. CREASE is a fashion tech startup. Our aim is to decrease waste in the fashion industry. We're doing that by streamlining the secondhand shopping experience and empowering women along the way. We're a subscription platform to swap, rent, sell and buy your pre-loved clothes. Our launch model is peer-to-peer, but we've got plans to expand B2C as we evolve. With no infrastructure or stock holding, we're extremely scalable. There's 3 subscription packages: freemium, pay as you CREASE, not so basic, and premium, all with various advantages. So there's something for everyone. In recent years, there's been a huge shift towards a more sustainable shopping experience and a demand for sustainable experiences. That's really shown in the growth of the secondhand market. It grew 25 times faster than retail last year, and it's expected to double to £64 billion by 2025. Our primary target market is women and non-binary between the ages of 18 and 37. That's essentially Gen Z and millennials. These generations are tech-savvy, eco-conscious, and trend-driven. Research shows they genuinely care about sustainability, and they account for around 10 to 12 million people within the UK. The main challenge that we are trying to find a solution for is that of fast fashion. We're buying 60% more clothes than we did 15 years ago, but we're keeping them for half the amount of time. Customers are looking for viable solutions and alternatives to fast fashion, and that's what we're providing. So our main solution is CREASE Online. It's a marketplace where customers can swap, rent, buy and sell. So we're really streamlining that experience. The proto playing here is showing the swap experience. During usability testings, we scored 4.9 out of 5. And we have a tech partner lined up to build this out into our MVP as soon as we receive investment. Our secondary solution is community events. So we launched these back in 2019, mainly as a marketing initiative. We got great reach and a really amazing reaction, and we intend to push this as a form of revenue moving forwards. So our go-to-market plan boils down to driving awareness and intern acquisition. We've got a 3-phase growth model to do this, and we've got a full year 1 marketing strategy in place, as well as a PR partner as soon as we launch. In terms of competition, it's a really exciting space. It's growing exponentially. There's a few players within the space, such as Depop, Vinted, New, but there's definitely room for market share. And it's really important to note, by offering all 3 functionalities will be the most unique model within this market. In terms of traction, it's been very organic. There's been no kind of capital behind it. We started off as an events company in 2019. Last year was spent really planning the business so we can hit the ground running, ready for launch this year. In terms of revenue, we're projecting 158,000 in the first year with a net loss, which comes with the build of the technology. By year 2, we're expecting to be cash positive with a net profit of 272,000. In terms of investment, we're seeking £250,000. That's enough runway for the first year. That will enable us to build the IP and to market it properly.
30 seconds.
In terms of the team, there's myself, Marina, Peter, and Jack. Between us, we've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world, and we're really excited about taking CREASE to the next level and beyond. I'll be really happy to answer any questions you've got. That's the end of the presentation.
This is more just a personal question, but with rental of clothes, how do you enforce compliance from customers in terms of actually returning it to them, and how do you make sure that people just don't, pay you £5 and steal your clothes and then delete their account?
Yeah, that's the first. That's the first question. It's a barrier, and that's definitely something that the first thing that people ask. Basically, it comes down to our terms and conditions, so they are going to be airtight. So as soon as a member joins and signs up, they agree to the terms and conditions, and we'll have their credit card details obviously saved securely, and essentially they'll be charged the RRP if the item isn't returned or it's returned damaged beyond repair.
You mentioned about the P2P swap. How do you ensure the quality control that I'm telling you that this is an original Gucci product, for example, and if it's not a fake, right? So how do you do that?
Yeah. So there's a real focus on community. There's going to be in-chat functionality. There's also going to be user-rated feedback. So it's essentially going to be similar to our competitors in terms of feedback. So obviously, if you missell something or if you sell something fake, the account will be suspended, and it will be obviously inquired in, essentially. So if you are selling bad product or fake products, essentially you'll have that kind of your account taken away.
I have a question. I saw a lot of we know that there's a lot of competitiveness in this market. So really, what if I'm using now your competitor? What will bring me to use your company now?
So in terms of our USPs, obviously the fact that we've got all 3 functionalities and we're streamlining the whole experience. We're offering it also in a subscription package, which is definitely a unique offering. In terms of our premium, it's $9.99 a month. So if you're an active seller, you essentially pay a flat fee. And with that, unlike kind of our competitors where you pay a percentage per transaction, and you can be hit with a big bill at the end of a good month, you know what you're getting with us. So that's definitely a competitive advantage, as well as the fact that we're kind of set up by females, we're run by millennials, and all the other kind of advantages.
Thank you.
Maybe one on, so you said you have a year 1 go-to-market plan. What is the plan to go viral and actually get eyes on this platform?
Yeah, so we're basically, our next stage is our discovery phase. So we're partnering with the tech company and our PR company who will help us put the plan in place. We've got the kind of framework of the year 1 marketing strategy, which I can obviously share with you, but it goes into quite depth. It's a 40-page document. There's going to be a focus obviously on paid socials, on influencers, and kind of sustainability key kind of people within that space as well, and kind of getting them on board as ambassadors.
Nate, do you have any feedback for Rachel as well? Or question?
I think Nate asked a question.
Oh, we did? I'm sorry. Okay. So I don't know if any of the other judges has anything more to add, or we can wrap up. We still have like a minute if you guys would like to ask anything else.
Yeah, I can jump in again. Rachel, I guess more about you then. Like, why did you stumble across this idea? Like, what drove you to start this business?
Yeah, sure. So, sorry, I'm used to a 10-minute pitch, so it's a lot more informative. So the 4 minutes, I feel like I've really skimmed. But basically, my background is in fashion. So I worked for kind of Burberry, YMC, luxury, contemporary labels. It really put me at the forefront of overproduction and of wastage. So it kind of really put me on this path to, I don't know, finding a solution for it. And also I have an affinity obsession with secondhand shopping, so that also helps. And generally the space that I'm in, a lot of my friends kind of, we always swap clothes, and it's really a really scalable idea, and it's definitely happening at this moment. So I just thought kind of combine them all.
An amazing job, Rachel. So thank you so much for joining us.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
Bye.
Thank you.
So we'll move on with Petros from Brive.
So, hello everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm Petros Tillaras, and along with my team, we're going to talk to you about Brive, the entire world of education in one platform. Pretty pompous, isn't it? So, let's talk about where it all started. We wanted to make an online platform that connects students, who we call Brivers, with the world of education, such as universities and the employment market. After countless brainstorming, we were determined to transform the complex student admission process in universities into a streamlined and fun online experience. If there's one key takeaway for this presentation, is that Brive does for students and universities what LinkedIn does for professionals and companies. Here are the problems we have identified in the current market. There is an almost non-existent professional orientation process for education. Existing agents provide guided, biased study suggestions based on profit and their collaborations. Application charges are huge, up to 1.7K per application. On many occasions, there is an incompatibility between the students' skills and the programs they end up studying. And last but not least, application processes can be very complicated and intimidating to students with insufficient or invalid online information. So the question I'm sure you're all thinking about is what we can do about those problems. Well, regarding professional orientation, apart from the free counseling that Brive provides, we have developed a proprietary online career test. Since we do not charge students for their applications and we collaborate with so many universities, we promote a conscious and objectively good choice for students. In order to tackle the incompatibility and complexity issues, we have developed a proprietary compatibility test and a one-click application feature. Talking about collaborating with a lot of universities, we can see here some metrics about the company, such as the 225 partners, 1,100 leads, and 10 enrollments in 2020, which is really 35 if you include the winter intake. This is the core team, and we're here today to answer any questions you may have. Altogether, we have experience in business consulting, education, digital strategy, and marketing. Now, this slide is not there just to show we're Apple fans, but to let you know that we will be launching a beta version of the platform in a couple of weeks, and we can share with you a link with a fully operational preview so you can play around. As you can see here, some of the platform's additional key features are a user profile similar to LinkedIn, a reward point system, and a big university portal with valid and up-to-date information. Moving on, some of our most popular partners are indicatively Middlesex and Brunel in London, Nottingham University, and much more. Diving into some details about the business model, we're bringing together all of these interested parties via online-oriented processes with free consultation and applications. Our main revenue stream is a commission-based model for every student we direct to a partner educational institution, and two secondary streams, which are subscription and promotion plans for universities to be advertised and promoted on our platform respectively. However, we have come up with at least 3 additional revenue streams for future implementation. Moreover, since marketing is one of the key factors for Brive's development, and pretty much every company's really, here are some more metrics of our 2-year plan. Indicatively, 14,000 Facebook and Instagram leads, 3,000 organic leads, 35.8 million reads through Facebook and Google Ads. Now, this is probably one of the most important and hopefully motivational slides of the presentation, money. We're seeking 625,000 euros funding capital in exchange for 25% equity of the company. The investor is looking at a break-even point after approximately 4.5 years and a profit of 844,000 euros by the end of the 5th year. Regarding the table at the bottom, we just put it there for positivity and optimism. And I'm gonna let a few seconds for the next slide allocated just to let it sink in. You can see the whole route and travel. And there you have it. You're now officially Brivers. We're looking forward to replying to your questions. Thank you.
Petros, is this a reinvented the Facebook with the career focus?
Hopefully. You know how it all started, right? You never know where to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Question from my side. Can the universities approach the students enrolled on the platform depending on the results of the test? So imagine I'm a 9 out of 10 on the test, which you have check all the boxes. Can they start offering scholarships and other things, or is the more like one-to-many streamlining of the process where 80% of the details in the application forms are the same? So how do you think about that?
Sure. So it's going to be an interactive platform. It's not going to be a one-way street. For example, not only with universities, but also with companies. For example, if you think about it, when the user creates an online profile online, it's going to be like a virtually fully searchable CV. So companies or universities can say, we want the candidate that has A, B, C, or D criteria, and we can focus like laser focus exactly on the features and the characteristics that this guy or girl has.
Has questions or any advice for Petros and his founders?
Yes. Are you planning on working with? Well, I guess you could one day.
To interrupt, guys, we have a little bit of an echo. So if people are not speaking, can you please put your mic off so that we don't have this echo? Thank you.
So have you thought about becoming or creating some sort of marketplace between the companies that are going on the freshers, not freshers, what they call milk rounds at university, and your platform? Because I think that's where, there may be a real monetization opportunity, isn't there? By getting.
Right,
Yeah. Sorry. Go on. Yeah.
Hey, can you elaborate on that for a bit, please?
So you know how there are these career fairs at university where companies show up and they want to sort of recruit straight out of uni a year ahead and whatnot, right? So I don't know how that happens these days. In my days, they showed up career fairs and all sorts of milk rounds, and they invite you to hotels and wine you and dine you and this and that. And so you can digitize that process to an extent potentially on your platform and get paid too. Would that be something that you would be potentially looking into?
Sure. I'm gonna start replying this question, and then my colleagues are gonna continue with more like details on events and all these fairs. So that's actually up to date as well, information. That's how I got recruited to my first company in London. Actually, the company virtually came to Bath University, and they had a small presentation. They had pizza over, and we had questions and a lot of fun. And then they recruited some of us back to the company. So it's still a thing, up to date. Yes, we have thought of that. Also, we're going to utilize modern media such as online hangouts, Q&As, stories, Instagram stories, and stuff like that. So we can obviously expand the network and make it available for us to be at everybody's house or university. And regarding physical events or physical fairs, I'm going to let Harris.
So what I'm trying to see is whether there's potential in this.
Yes.
To create an entirely virtual experience around this subject. So an entirely virtual kind of company, trying to recruit hundreds of students,
Yes.
You know, rather than having this whole thing about events at universities, just create an easy place to meet on a video call or whatever with a CV and stuff like there, so people can go on, have a browse through the students browse through the companies, and then meet each other online. You know, socially distanced. even after Corona, you know, I mean, it's efficiency, and then invite those in that are interested for interviews and whatnot.
Yes, sure, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, we're gonna have to wrap up. But if you have any more questions or feedback for Petros and his co-founders, you can communicate after the event. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hope it was up to the Greek standards, as you mentioned before.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Petros.
Bye-bye.
So we're gonna move on to Lyfe with Akshay.
Welcome to Lyfe, the on-demand platform for in-home care services, taking the sector into the 21st century. The care sector is in crisis, and many providers are on the brink of collapse. And there's a significant point of pain for those millions and millions of people receiving inadequate care or those completely deprived of it. And this can have a detrimental impact on our physical and mental well-being. And this extends to our loved ones and who carry this frustration and anxiety with them. On the other side of the coin, those working in the care sector face tough working conditions, low rates of pay, and poor satisfaction levels. And this prevents people from joining the sector and remaining there. So we're disrupting the space by creating an on-demand care platform. For our customers, we can provide ease of access and transparent care while providing the highest quality of care with elevated support and communication. And for our care partners, we can provide greater income opportunities and improved working environment. So we're creating this care community, we're simplifying and improving the care process, and we're breaking down the barriers by empowering our customers and our carers with choice, control, and information and communication. On the surface of things, we're providing a quick and simple process with high quality care, and we're opening these responsive communication channels. But below the surface, we're redefining what high quality care is by incorporating digital health as part of the care service. And this can be demonstrated by our machine learning, health risk profile, and data analysis that we're developing. We can enable transparency in care through like rating systems and a regular update and feedback loops, and greater choice and control over your own care through flexibility in times, non-binding contracts, and a matching algorithm which allows you to choose. And we can create greater continuity with our innovative spot contract system, which enables everyone to have a personalized care team. So here are some snapshots of our prototype. So here you can see our customer experience, which includes the selection process, the medicine chart, and the rating system. And for our carer experience, you can see the personalized appointment calendar, the summary of the visit, and their inbox. So the total addressable market is worth £21.1 billion in the UK. And 30% of older people need help with at least one crucial daily activity. But what is shocking is that 1.5 million older people don't have access to the care and support they need, meaning they go every day without the support they need for daily activities such as getting out of bed and bathing themselves. And we also see that 1.9 million new requests for support every year. To tell you a bit about myself, I've been in and about the care sector for 5 years and have a family background there. I've helped run and grow our family business and have decided to step out on my own to change the problems that I saw firsthand. To share something with you, I remember working a 24-hour shift after covering for some colleagues, and amidst the chaos of customers not recognizing me and their frustration, and familiarizing myself with new needs of a customer almost every hour, I remember thinking so clearly that I could do this better, and that's how Lyfe was conceived. And so since graduating from university, I've been working on this full time. My technical partner, Alex, is an extremely experienced software architect who has his own software house who were recently awarded by Clutch. And upon meeting, we hit it straight off about the potential of the idea and the synergies between us. So we're seeking to raise £442,000, and this money will fuel our pilot launch, our technology development beyond our MVP, and expansion. So we want to help as many people as we can, people like my own grandmother who's currently needing care. And with your help, we can bring this vision to life. Thank you very much, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Actually, thanks for the pitch. I had one question, which was maybe you could talk to some of the about the platform, because one issue I can see is maybe how do you stop care providers or individual care providers as well just using this platform as a book builder or lead gen, and then transacting off the platform?
So to answer that question, we're trying to add so much value to both segments of the market that they wouldn't want to leave us. So to talk on the carer side of things, so we're giving them access to a pool of customers, and because of the nature of care, sometimes they need to find a new customer after an unfortunate death or other situation. And so we're giving them this access to a pool, but also providing a lot of tools to optimize their work life. And importantly, because of our cost advantage, we can actually pay them 50% more than the market average. So currently they're being paid on average £8.72 per hour, whereas we can afford to pay them 13 because of our digitized and decentralized platform. And for the customer side of things, we're providing so much value in terms of security and safety and in information access with like a sharing hub with our own family members. So for example, with my grandmother's care, my parents would be able to access the report and see how our health is tracking because we can't currently care for her because she's across the country.
I would be happy to know a little bit about the go-to-market. If you
So we've got a go-to-market plan, and again, it's two-pronged because it's a multi-sided platform. So on our carer side of things, we are aiming to siphon off existing networks and to put it informally, poach from our competitors because we're adding so much value. And to give you an example of our traction, so on our carer side of things, we launched our recruitment platform to get some registration lists for our launch. And within 1 day, we managed to raise 20% of our aim for our first year launch, which was an amazing progress. And for our customer side of things, we're aiming to mainly focus on targeting those people who are procuring care services for their loved ones. So in my family's example, it would be my parents for my grandparents. And we're mainly using digital advertising such as Facebook marketing and search marketing to target those key characteristics of people who are looking for care. So this could be event planning based around needs based on a sudden death of a carer or need of respite care when a carer is taken off, or unhappy service with someone else. And so the key stages would be retargeting digitally events when post-corona, and collaborating with partners such as retirement villages and stuff to gain a great network.
Thank you.
Akshay, how does the offering differ from some of the existing platforms like elder.org? And I think there are a couple of other ones that have been funded in the past. How does it differentiate apart from the pricing? And would love to understand what's the arbitrage there as well.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So platforms such as Elder, as you mentioned, or Super Carers, they're introductory agencies. So they match people between the caregivers and care seekers, but they don't provide the care directly. So that means they don't take liability for the training, nor they take liability for anything that may go wrong in the future. And nor do they empower their customers with switching at benefits or being able to be responsive for the duties of the care. And so one thing that we're really seeing in the market, and with my own market research, is that we're seeing people don't really trust these agencies and that they really want a one-stop shop for care. So that's what we're providing. We're being the provider and providing these host of technical tools to bring it all together as this one holistic, optimized care service, keeping the customer at the center. And then to compare ourselves with more traditional incumbents like domiciliary care agencies, they don't really have the capacity to scale because of their models. So franchise models don't have the capacity to scale across the whole country because of that model. And most providers are independent local providers who only provide, for example, 2 villages, for example. So that's to answer your question. And on pricing, so in the market, what you see, one huge customer complaint is really complex pricing. And so we're keeping it very clear, having a flat pricing throughout that doesn't change extortionately through weekends or bank holidays. We're keeping it very stable. And because we can offer our carers a higher wage, we don't need to spike up prices on weekends to be able to cover our margins.
Okay.
Quick last question from my side. Do you need to be licensed, regulated, given you are taking the whole responsibility for care?
Yeah, great question. So as a provider, we do need to be regulated by the CQC. And so that is what part of the RAISE requirements are based towards, in getting all these regulatory things together. So I've self-funded the development so far of MVP, and my partner and I have put both considerable sweat equity and time into it. And that's develop our product, which will be ready in about 4 months' time. And then to launch, we need those funds to get that infrastructure in place to be regulatory. And to just mention, one of our advisory board members is actually the Director of Engagement from the CQC, who is our regulatory body.
How much would you need? This can become a fairly complex platform.
Yeah.
You know, how much would you need just in terms of development costs to fully develop this?
So to fully develop it, so again, I'm going to answer it in 3 stages. So for our first year launch, providing our MVP product, we estimate the costs will be around 50 to 80,000 pounds. That's subsidized because my partner has his own development house. So they're covering it at cost basis, and for a large portion of it for free because of our stake in it. And then when it comes to our second, third, and fourth year, costs we're expected to rise exponentially, especially in our third year where we start developing our machine learning tools. So we actually expect that in our 4th year of operating, that our tech costs will go to approximately 1.5 million to 2 million. To manage the data that we're handling securely for our customers, and also to provide these digital health services that we are aiming to.
Thank you, Akshay. I'm sorry, I'll have to interrupt and wrap up because the next startup is waiting to pitch.
No problem.
But you can definitely speak with the judges afterwards. We also
100%.
have a networking session, and you have each other's contact details. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Akshay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye. We're going to have Ronald from BetaRisk.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ron Chirchangu, experienced actuary, banker, and CEO and co-founder of BetaRisk. We're basically a risk tech fintech for mid-sized financial institutions, which include SMEs, which includes banks, pension funds, insurers, and asset managers. Our value proposition is very simple. We've done a lot of extensive work, including, given my background at UBS, I spent 10 years at UBS and then left. BetaRisk has been running 7 years, and in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, we pivoted into kind of a technology-first company. Our clients, sometimes and oftentimes struggle to get a holistic view of their enterprise risk. Technology platform is really designed to bring all these different components of your enterprise into a centralized enterprise risk platform. Things like strategic risk, financial risk, operational risk, and so forth. We have a number of examples where clients have had problems. Obviously, most recently, some of you have seen problems at Credit Suisse just the past week with Archegos, and over the last month, we've seen Greensill. So they've had more or less kind of 2 enterprise risk issues. We've seen other problems in the last 2 or 3 years. Bank had to do a rights issue. Had the wrong classifications for commercial mortgages on their balance sheet. We had problems with Citigroup last year. They sent almost $500 million to the wrong client. And in the case of Wells Fargo, some of the sales clients that they're opening accounts on behalf of clients that clients had not authorized. Our view is really, you should really transform risk management into a first-line decision-making. Part of this includes putting it at the center of decision-making, including through the CFO. Some organizations have risk functions, some don't. And when they do, the enterprise nature of the risk sometimes does not come through. So our view is holistic risk, and that comes through, centralizing, the enterprise risk framework, enterprise data, the actual ERM itself. And then, we are operating in this sort of, intersect between business intelligence and risk management. So, we'll talk a little bit about that. The key thing is here to actually get actionable insights decision makers can use. We have a very strong team, experience both on the financial side as well as on the corporate side. My co-founder, her background is on the corporate side with operational systems, risk and efficiency improvements. We've got a very strong CTO. His background is at IBM, people with experience from Moody's on the product side, and as well as a very strong advisory team. We're actually now part of the new chip accelerator program in the US. We've done a lot of work with the larger clients, companies like your AXA, Aviva, and because of that, we've been able to get insights on, what would the mid-sized players look for? We've had a lot of conversations with clients. The prototype was completed. We've actually started building the MVP. We've got kind of this fork in the road where clients can either use our sort of high-touch solution, which has got a very high IRR, which includes managed services, and a low-touch service, which is supported by an EdTech platform. We are a lot of work with back-end integrations into third-party platforms, Odoo and Terminos. We've got a very significant market in the sense that in business intelligence, we've got about 16 billion pounds, 12 billion in combined, expected to be more than 40 billion by 2025. Our priority right now, as I mentioned, are the integration, looking at enterprise data, balance sheet functionality, predictive analytics and things like that. We expect to be doing more than 26 million pounds in the next 2 to 3 years. We've been talking to investors both for this round as well as for Series A. We've got about 3 VC funds who have expressed an interest. We're looking for 2 million of this current raise. Most of that is going to go to the product development, hiring the team. The market is quite large, as we've mentioned. Companies like SAS and MetricStream are the industry leaders. You've also got platforms in Europe starting to do some work on this. And then the last thing to mention is there's a lot of activity, both in terms of early stage, late stage, as well as on the mature side. You've got a platform out of Toronto, Digit, who are building management platform. Some of you there with the LSC Refinitiv merger announced over the last year or so. All right, thank you.
Very big tree that you've put your axe into.
I know, right? Thank you.
No, well done. I mean, it's what I'm sort of wondering is, unifying all these risks, sort of on a sort of common dashboard. How is this something that people really are looking for inside these institutions? And see, the reason I'm asking is because these different types of risks are being monitored and reported to different authorities that are watching over these particular risks. So the internal beast of an organization like a bank typically is sort of against merging these risks or looking at them holistically, because they are sort of fighting their own kind of battles with the FCA or with whatever risk monitoring authorities and so on they have. So how do you get over that that hurdle inside the bank or whatever, insurance or whatever?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Andres. I think the sort of question for me is a very good one, because it reflects the fact that you probably understand the value proposition very well. So I think there's sort of a number of ways to answer that. 4 or 5 moving parts. The clear issue around enterprise interoperability, right? The fact that these systems don't communicate in of itself is creating an issue, and that's what we're addressing. The second, which is equally important, are the silos. Okay, that's a key issue. And then obviously curating the data itself, the quality of data. There's all sorts of issues around that in the kind of clear risk segments. When you put it all together, the key part here is the fact that our real client is actually the CFO, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's always this issue around, the risk function and so forth. Where there's a risk function, all the better, right? But it's really about empowering the key decision makers in an organization. And actually, the CFO is actually a very central person, and they need to understand the risk from a CFO's perspective, right? So I think what we've been able to do is to get into that space to say, well, there's key aspects, obviously, on the financial side. You need to understand the viability of essentially the cash, all the segmented portfolios of products, the underlying risk drivers. But then on the other side, you do need to understand the risks, right? So, we've given you a few examples of the things where, things can go wrong. Some of them sound very simple, but it's actually part of that issue. So it is a journey, and that's why we're starting in this sort of space, because there's a lot more flexibility, and the fact that we can connect onto these third-party platforms, a lot of that data we can.
Is this
third-party platforms?
Are these open banking sort of sources, or what kind of third-party platforms are you talking about?
Correct. So banks will use a number of platforms like your Finastra, Terminos, and with our APIs, we're able to connect onto that, which means we can get access to that data. That will enable us to be able to build, those models and actually show the stakeholders some of these scenarios. And I think really the most important thing is at the top line in terms of the regulatory frameworks, and I think I didn't get a chance to go through into that. They are embedding this risk drivers. So I'm sure in Europe you've seen, climate change is a key risk factor, even in insurance under Solvency II, Basel III, Basel IV, and so forth. So, there is actually going to be a regulatory requirement to understand some of those moving parts.
Especially for an asset manager, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we'll have to wrap up this one as well and move to our last feature. Ronald, thank you so much for your pitch. It was very interesting. Sorry we didn't have much time for feedback. He went a little bit over his speech, but you can communicate with each other. Thank you, Ronald.
Thanks, Ronald.
Bye. So we have our last pitch, Peter Miles from EHempHouse. Hopefully we'll be able to see him now.
So my name is Peter Miles. I'm the co-founder and CEO of EHempHouse. And we're focused on a major global problem, the big existential crisis that is climate change. About 195 countries signed up to the Paris Agreement, where they committed to keep the increase in temperatures to 1.5 degrees C. But the bad news is we're already at about 1 degree C. So the battle is on. The time is now for big visions and companies with innovations to actually start to get involved in this fight. And our initial tech innovation is something that we call a smart box. It's an industrial hemp crop processor system, but it's designed to be operated off-grid in rural communities. It collects data and verification about the hemp growth and the crop and the agricultural information, but it also has benefits for the local community. So it's got an integrated generator that runs off the hemp biofuel, and that creates electricity for things like irrigation, so pure water, refrigeration for medicines, and communications. And I've said that it focuses on the industrial hemp crop. And why industrial hemp? Well, hemp has an incredible ability to suck CO2 out of the atmosphere whilst it's growing. It's a product that we've actually been using as a civilization for thousands of years. So it's more about rediscovering than discovering it. And it can become the basis for a lot of products which can be part of the decarbonized, sustainable industrial economy. And that carbon that gets sucked from the air is important because we've also got an innovation in our business strategy. And what we do is we take that carbon that's being sequestered and we can sell it on the international carbon markets. And the price for a ton of carbon is forecast to be between $50 and $100 by the end of the decade. But we've done our return on investment on those smart boxes down to a price of $4 a ton, and it still makes commercial sense for us. And what we're doing is in two phases. So phase one, with that capital that we're releasing for the carbon markets, will allow us to provide those smart boxes free to the farmers and the communities where the hemp's being grown. And as we move through into phase two, we can then use the capital to start to establish the industries that use the hemp for other products, like hempcrete, for instance, which is a viable alternative to concrete, and concrete is an incredibly polluting product. We also want to create our own brand, our own e-brand. Because of that smart boxes, we get all that data that gets sent back to us, and we know exactly where that product on the supermarket shelf has come from, so we can track it from seed to field to production. And the idea is to engage the consumer in the ethos and the mission that we're taking with this climate change, and allow them to feel that collectively they can make a difference, and that maybe encourage them to other activities. Very quick about the team. I've known Andy Neal for 30 years. I was in a business with him 30 years ago. He's the inventor of the smart box. He's got a team of engineers and biochemists in America. They've been developing the smart box for about 2 years. Stephen Putt has been operating for 30 years on agricultural projects in Africa, and he's based on our farm in Zambia. And I've been involved in serial entrepreneurial stuff in the UK for the last 30 years. Everything's 30 years. So what traction have we got in the business? We've got that farm in Zambia. It's 413 hectares. And the important thing about that, apart from there being an initial place in Zambia, is that we've got other crops on the farm. So we've got 500,000 moringa trees. There's revenue being generated by other products. So from an investor's perspective, there is a diversification of the risk, if you like. I mentioned the smart box. It's been developed on successful farm trials in New York, and they've just been accepted onto an incubator in upstate New York. What does the investment look like? We're raising 500,000. There's about 75,000 already committed. And what that investment is going to allow us to do is to achieve certain milestones, which when we've achieved those, we'll be raising more funds later on in the year. And we're looking to raise about $1 million at that point. And that's it.
Thanks, Peter. I guess the thing I'm missing is what the smart box actually does. And I may have just missed that. Maybe you can go into how it collects the data, what sort of value that box actually adds to the hemp farm. Okay, yeah. Well, it's a bit of the 4-minute dash, but so the box itself, it processes the hemp crop, so it's very close to where the hemp's grown. You can put the system. It actually produces 3 products from the hemp crop. It produces a hemp seed oil, which can be turned into things like the biofuel that I mentioned that the generator runs off, but it's also got value economically for other stuff. It produces a thing called hemp seed cake, which is really good for cattle feed. It's actually very good for human nutrition as well. It's incredible because it's got a very interesting balance of omega-3 and omega-6, which is unusual. And then you've got the fiber, which can be used for things like, actually we'll use it initially as a cattle bedding plant, so like hay. But actually that then becomes, when you get into the industrial side, you can turn that into paper, you can turn that into textiles and stuff. So yeah, I'm sorry that wasn't terribly well explained. Thanks.
How do you scale this to a 100 million business?
So we have a vision, and the vision is for, we want to get 8 million hectares of hemp under production in about 10 years, so at the end of the decade. And if you look at what, if you do a very rough calculation on how that works out on revenue, each hectare of hemp sequesters about 66 tons of carbon per annum. So 8 million hectares, it's just over 500 million tons. Currently, we're expecting the price to be around between $10 and $20 per ton on the international carbon markets. So you do the maths. That's either $5 billion or $10 billion per annum. So it's about finding the land. The reason that we've started in Zambia is it's got 11 million hectares of underutilized land, and that's really important. The underutilized bit. In fact, sub-Saharan Africa itself has got 200 million. So what it means is by providing the tools, by being able to provide the smart box to those communities, we can encourage them to grow the hemp. So it becomes very quick. It scales up very quickly into a very big business.
Needs a lot of convincing, though, to get 8 million hectares out there. That's huge. I mean, that's absolutely enormous.
It is, but so not exactly baby steps, but the first goal is 1 million hectares. Zambia itself, as I said, it's got 11 million hectares, and actually the government is very well behind getting the hemp as a development in their agriculture. Surrounding Zambia, things like the Democratic Republic, Tanzania, Malawi, and others. You know, there's more than enough land to be able to achieve that. We have to basically make sure that we've got the local farmers all committed to the project, which they are, because they're signing up with the adventure that's in Zambia.
All
right. Peter, I know there is no short answer to this, but the whole process of getting UN certification for carbon credits, and getting all these forward contracts with the traders. Do you have expertise within the team who have done this? Because selling international carbon credits into Europe is increasingly getting tougher. So I'm assuming, do you have that piece of the puzzle already sorted?
Yeah, so well, it's not sorted, but we've put quite a lot of research into this, and you're right. I mean, the carbon markets are quite complicated and fragmented, and it's difficult. But we've actually engaged with some contractors, which they're specialists at putting the projects together. They're really quite excited by the proposal and the business strategy we've got, and actually they see it as potentially as a format for other businesses, and they're prepared to be involved, part on cash and part on some equity involvement. But yeah, part of what we're raising now is to complete that whole project plan. Some of the funds are used for that, so that as we move into 2022, the whole project on that side, the carbon market project, is sorted. But it was very interesting trying to learn about carbon markets. I mean, Mark Carney is involved in a task force that's trying to update those markets to make them more fit for purpose. Because at the moment they're OTC, it's very much over-the-counter stuff. But we see that as changing. Demand's growing. We think it's going to be the way to go.
Quick word of advice. Do look at South Korea as a market. It's opening up massively for carbon credits, especially international.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for that, Vikram. Any advice is always useful.
Thank you, Peter. So this was our last presentation. Peter, thank you so much for joining us as well. We heard some great advice and questions from the judges. So I'd like to thank each of you, Alex, Andreas, Vikram, and Nate. Thank you so much for joining us and giving the startups valuable feedback on their pitches. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I think we heard some amazing pitches. So I'd like to thank the pitchers as well for joining and pitching. I hope everyone had a great time. There is a networking session. If you'd like to join me as well, you will have the opportunity to speak a little bit more with startups if you didn't have the time. It's in the left column. And basically that was it from me for tonight. I hope I wasn't too interrupting when I had to stop the time. But thank you all for joining us.
Well done, Maria.
Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for organizing, Maria. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.